So, happy Wednesday, everyone. I'm here with Shannon Miller-Lutz, and we're going to talk about designing a life you love. Shannon is a positive intelligence coach, and we're going to ask her what that is. So, maybe you can introduce yourself here, and we can go from there.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Greg. Like he said, my name is Shannon Miller-Lutz. I am a positive intelligence coach, among other things. I have a lot of initials after my name, a lot of certifications, but today I really wanted to dig into the positive intelligence program that I'm certified in. I think it's really fascinating. So let's dig into it.
So the first question is, I know a little bit that you are something of a recovering realtor, and so you got into this positive intelligence as a result of some kind of burnout, and you
Yeah.
recognize that women and realtors can sometimes struggle with burnout. Everyone can,
Yeah.
and yeah. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'll tell you my journey. So, as you said, I am a recovering realtor. I still have my license. It's in referral status back in Maryland, where I was selling real estate for many years with Keller Williams. And, I grew my business and I thought, okay, I'm making more money than I ever have. And everybody wanted to be like me. I was selling 45, 50 houses a year on average as a single agent. And on the outside, I looked really successful, but inside I was just burnt out. I was overwhelmed. I was not happy at all. I was ignoring my health, my relationships, and I knew that something had to change. So at the time I had a coach. Coaching is very normal. It's a normal thing in real estate to have a coach. So I had a production coach, which obviously helped me, selling that many houses, but we weren't really addressing the stress that I was feeling. So my coach at the time, he said, well, I think you need to talk to my transformational coach. And I did. I talked to the transformational coach, and that's the coach that I am, the kind of coach that I am. I help people transform their lives. And within a very short amount of time, he really helped me to address what was causing the stress, how I could move forward into a life that I really had been envisioning and hadn't taken any steps to really make real. And those conversations were so just life-giving to me. And I said, this is what I want to do. I want to have these kind of deep conversations with people and help transform their life the way that you are transforming my life. So at the time, I was going to be a Keller Williams coach. And he said, okay, you've got to go to one of these two coaching schools. They were the top two coaching schools in the world. So I picked the one that had classes in DC because I was in the Baltimore area at the time. And I spent over a year in that program. At the same time, I also had to get a master practitioner certificate in NLP, neuro linguistic programming. If you know Tony Robbins, that's what he does, just noticing patterns and breaking patterns. And so I got those certifications. And then once I got those, I actually decided not to become a coach within Keller Williams. I have my own coaching company, SML Coaching. I'm a small boutique coaching company. It's just me. And what I learned about myself in my coaching training was that I really, really love the brain science behind everything. The NLP stuff just really lit me up. I loved it. So I came across this program, Positive Intelligence, right at the beginning of COVID. And I spent 7 weeks going through the program myself. And then I think it took about a month to get certified as a coach in the Positive Intelligence program. So I I help people, yes, real estate agents or people in the real estate space. I've coached lenders and title company people, and even somebody that owns a home inspection company, lawyers, and I also have a passion around helping women who get to a certain point of their life, like I had when I turned 50. I was kind of like, "What is life? I don't know," and I was having an existential crisis. This is before I started talking to my transformational coach. And I know as a woman that a lot of times we put everybody else's needs first. And I'm not saying that guys don't do that too, but in general, it's women. And so I also have a passion around coaching women to figure out what does their life mean, outside of being a wife or a mom or, their job. What does life really mean? Because I went through that journey myself.
Yes, that's nothing's better than going through the experience yourself, really.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you know, I was running a Saturday morning broadcast with real estate investors mostly, and some of those they had started as realtors, and then they started investing in properties. And one time we had, the whole thing is no toilets, termites, and tenants.
Okay.
And yeah, and anyway, we had one guy on the show. I didn't really know him, but sometimes we had about six people and we have a discussion. And he says, "I got to go. A tree just fell on one of my properties." So now
Hmm.
we added the fourth T. We put to add trees.
Agreed. Yeah. Real estate, whether you are selling real estate, you are managing real estate, you're investing, you're flipping, you're holding, whatever it is a crazy, crazy world. And stress is rampant because everyone's hair is on fire all the time. There's
Yeah,
always a last minute, you know, a tree fell on my house type of situation, or, a deal is falling through, or I had a coaching client. Actually, she had to reschedule her call last minute. She texted me a picture. She not only sells real estate, but she also just started a property management company last year. And she sent me a picture of a basement that was flooded because the water heater had failed.
yeah,
So there's always a crisis in real estate, always a crisis.
always a crisis.
And
Yeah,
and that's kind of where the positive intelligence comes in, because positive intelligence is all about the negative thoughts that we all have in our brain and how they cause stress and overwhelm and burnout and just exhaustion. So positive intelligence is based in a lot of research around positive psychology. And it says, any negative thought or emotion that you have, you're being hijacked by your saboteurs. And so the program, it's a 7-week program, and it really not only creates awareness around how you specifically sabotage yourself, because we all do it differently, we're different people, but also how do you then shift out of that negativity so you can calm down and figure out the solution to a problem? Because when you're in like panic mode and you're stressed out, solutions don't live there, right? You're just kind of like spiraling. So positive intelligence has an assessment that helps you figure out, based on, just some questions, how do you sabotage yourself? So the research has shown that there's only 10 ways that we sabotage ourselves. Like, we think there's like thousands of ways that we all sabotage, but the studies have shown there's only 10. So the number one saboteur is the judge, and we all have this guy. He judges them like you judge yourself, like, I'm not enough, I suck. You judge other people as a way to make yourself feel better, like, oh, look at them, they're crazy, I must be better than that. And then we judge circumstances. I can't be happy until this happens, this thing, fill in the blank. So we all have the judge, and depending on who you are, one of those three judge modalities is stronger than the other one. So for me, when I took the course, I realized that judge of others was really the one that was the strongest, followed by judge of self for me. Then in the assessment, it takes the other 9 saboteurs and it tells you kind of where do you fall, where are your strongest saboteurs. So for me, when I took the assessment, and this was not a surprise, I think we all know, the top 2 saboteurs on my assessment were the pleaser and the avoider. Again, not a surprise when I took this assessment. The great thing about this is it lets you know you're not alone. This is just the way our brains work. Our brains are wired to focus on the negative because our brain's number one job is to keep us alive. So it has to focus on the negative in order to protect us and to keep us alive. And if you think back, cavemen, right? They had to focus on, what's that sound? Is that a saber-toothed tiger coming out of the woods? They couldn't focus on the pretty butterfly. That doesn't help them. So our brains are just wired this way, to focus on the negative. And we do it through these saboteurs, either the judge or the judge and a combination of these, what they call accomplice saboteurs, my pleaser and my avoider. So whenever you notice that you have a negative thought or emotion, you don't even have to know who it is. Just know that you are being hijacked. And then what you do is you shift into a positive mindset they call the SAGE. Now, here's where the brain science comes in. The saboteurs live in the left hemisphere of our brain. This is where the fight or flight, reptilian brain lives. And then the sage lives in the right hemisphere. This is where the empathy circuitry is. And the way that you can actually shift your neural pathways from firing in the negative left hemisphere to the positive right hemisphere of your brain is by doing these things called PQ reps. And PQ stands for positivity quotient. So again, our brains are hardwired to focus on negative, and it takes 3 positive thoughts to counterbalance 1 negative thought. And most of us don't have that many positive thoughts. So this is a way to get more positive, like an EQ, right? Emotional quotient. This is a PQ, positivity quotient. So how you do this is by using your senses. So you might just close your eyes and take a couple of deep breaths. Just noticing the rising and falling of your chest and stomach. And it gets you back into your body. You can use tactile. You can just rub the tips of your fingertips together with such intention that you notice all the ridges in each finger. You can use your hearing. Oh, what is that I hear? Is that a fan? Is it the TV in the other room? Somebody talking? And then you shift your hearing to maybe just hearing your own breath. So these are ways that you actually change. And this is, again, what I geek out about. You actually change the brain chemistry when you do these little PQ reps, little mini meditations. So if your head was in an MRI machine when you were doing these PQ reps, you would see the neurons firing from the left hemisphere and then shift to the right hemisphere, right? So you can actually see the electric of the firing change into the right hemisphere. And the more you do this, the more the gray matter in your right hemisphere grows. So it actually changes the chemistry of your brain. That's pretty friggin' awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. All right. So so what happens? How do people work with you? What's the process?
Yeah. So I have a bunch of different ways that people can work with me. They can just take the PQ program, the 7-week program, and I have wrapped that up into a 3-month package so that once the 7 weeks are over, we're still kind of digging into it, making sure that you've got a handle on it. You can be a one-on-one client with me. So you can, have 30-minute calls with me 2-3 times a month, weekly. So there's different price points for that. And then I have a group program that is focused both on productivity and mindset. And so some of my clients have a combination of all those. And I'll give you an example of kind of all the modalities that I am certified in. I had a call today with a client, and she was like, if I could just focus, like everything would be okay, right? I think we all think if just this one thing happens, like life will be perfect. And that's not how it works. P.S., hey, there's no magic wand. So I started asking her, okay, so what is it about focus? What's happening? We started digging into it, and I reminded her about the streams of energy. Now, this is from a book that I've taught my clients and a modality that I've taught my clients called The Power of Full Engagement. It's a book by Jim Lair. And basically, if you think about a food pyramid, there's 4 different levels in this pyramid of energy. So the bottom level is physical energy, sleep, drinking water, eating healthy, moving your body in a healthy way. The second layer of energy is emotional energy. Are you processing your negative emotions? PQ reps, right? Are you also doing enough things that you enjoy to kind of recharge yourself? So that's all in the emotional energy level. The next energy is mental energy. And this is where focus lives. This is where productivity and focus lives. And then the 4th level is spiritual energy. And that's your purpose and your mission. But when I reminded her of these 4 levels, I said, we can't just jump to productivity and focus on the 3rd level. Tell me what's going on in your physical life and your emotional life. And she said, I am not sleeping well. I said, okay, well, that makes sense why you can't focus then, right? Because that's the foundation. And then this particular client is a big journaler, and she had fallen off the practice. And that's a way to process your emotions. So she said, yes, I have been neglecting my journaling to process my emotions. And I said, and remember, your top saboteur is the hypervigilant. And the hypervigilant saboteur makes you exhausted because you're worrying about everything all the time. Like all the time. Like, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if that happens? And it's exhausting. And this was a video call. She sat back in her chair and she said, "Oh my God. You're right. My hypervigilant, there is not one aspect of my life that I am not completely in full panic about." So I said, "Okay, well, that's why you can't focus. Physical, you're not sleeping. Your hyper vigilant is taking over and creating all of this, wasted energy on worrying. So it's natural that you can't focus." So we came up with a plan of what she could do, make sure she's doing her PQ reps, make sure she's doing her journaling, making sure she's getting enough sleep so that she then could get to the point of focusing. So there are some coaches out there that will just say, well, to focus, do this, right? And they don't address all the underlying things that are keeping you from doing the thing we all know that we need to do. So that's what it's like to work with me is not just me telling you how to be more productive or happier. It's like we really dig down into how are you getting in your own way and then coming up with a plan to get past that.
That's great. Maybe we can just take a quick look at your website here.
Sure.
Yeah. So just okay. There we go. I don't know how you fell off the stage there. Oh, I know how that happened. So
I'm back. It's okay.
You're back. You're okay.
I'm back.
There's StreamYard has this pre-configured scenes, right? And you weren't part of that scene. So there you are, but you're back. Anyway,
back.
Here we go. And here I guess you'd have a list of that you went over your certifications and your background and what you studied to get to this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got the stress-free download that people can do.
Yeah, just some tips, how to reduce your stress, because that's what a lot of people are dealing with in this stressful world today.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on to be stressful about.
I would agree.
Yeah,
I would agree.
For me, I appreciate. I almost got you to send me the full photo here, and I almost just did it for the banner because my stress relief is getting out and walking in nature. Yeah,
yes.
So that's one of the main things for that.
That's a huge one. Yes.
Yeah. And then what's this? Get ready for a breakthrough. Change your life today. Is that?
Yeah.
Where does that lead?
Well, this is just, a way to get in touch with me. So
okay, yeah.
You can click on the different links to find out more. So if you scroll down a little bit more, like I said, I can coach anyone. I've been to a coaching school. I can coach anyone. But the people that I really resonate with are realtors and women. And so when you click on the Transform Your Real Estate Career, you click on that button, you find out more about what it's like to work with me as a realtor. And then if you click on the button in the Empowered Women box, then you get to know a little bit more about what it's like to work with me as a woman looking to be a better version of herself.
There we go. Awesome.
Yeah. And I have a newsletter. There's a way on my website. You can sign up for the newsletter. There's information on my packages here. I'm probably going to update these a little bit. Currently.
There's the newsletter sign up right there.
Yeah. And right now I'm only sending it out once a month. So you're not going to get spammed, but I always try and bring a little information, a little levity, a little fun. And so that's me.
Yeah. Okay. I put the link to the website in the show notes, and also here, I'll just put this up again for that. I think there's a link to the assessment in there, or maybe I'm mistaken.
No, the assessment's actually on the Positive Intelligence website. And what I'd like to offer your listeners is, if they're curious how they specifically sabotage themselves, just reach out to me on the Contact Me form on my website. Take the assessment at positiveintelligence.com. And I'm willing to do a no obligation, no cost, 20-minute call to go over and dig into how they're sabotaging themselves and teach them more in depth than what I talked about here, how to do those PQ reps and really make a difference in your life.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to put that up on the Positive Intelligence on the screen here.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's a great website, Positive Intelligence. The creator, his name is Shirzad Shamin. He's my mentor, and you can read all about the program there, all the brain science behind it if you geek out about brain science like I do. But it has a great definition and insight into the program as a whole. And then just reach out to me, and we'll go over your assessment and see what the next steps are.
Yeah. I'm just going to bring up one more thing. When I was describing this, I saw this on your website,
Mm-hmm.
and I stole this line. And actually, I sort of sent you to take a look at Marie Forleo, and she says something very similar at the
Yeah.
beginning of every talk. But so what is your vision for this? The positive intelligence thing. What's your designing the
Well,
life you love?
yeah. So for me, designing a life you love, you have to really know yourself. And I think, we've forgotten who we were as children. That is our true sage self, is who we were before these saboteurs kind of got their claws in our brains. So if you think back to that beautiful little child, that's who we want to get back to, the joy and just the simplicity of who we were, and having that happiness and joy in our lives. But then we become adults and adulting is difficult and life is hard, and we forget who we are. And what I see is so many people like myself ask, is this it? Is this life? Because we get one little round on this planet as far as we know. So why not make the most of it? So
Yeah.
what I help people is, in their personal development journey, finding out who they are, who they want to be, where that gap is, and then we start working to close that gap, to design that life that you love. So for me, it was moving back to Florida, where it's nice and sunny and warm. Right. So I left a cold
Right.
state and came to someplace warm. That was the life that I wanted to lead ever since I was a little girl. And it was
Yeah.
on my vision board, but I never made it happen until I started working with a coach like myself.
No, that's great.
So positive intelligence is one of the tools that I use to help you get out of your own way so you can have a vision and then create that life that you love.
Yeah. So I sang in a choir for years with the director was Julie Blue, and she taught singing, and basically she dealt with people overcoming their fear of singing. And she said if she went into an elementary school and asked how many people sang, everybody put up their hand up. At grade 12, it says how many people sang, nobody put their hand up. Somehow
Mm-hmm.
the musicality had been beaten out of them over the next
Because our
12 years.
judges like saying, you can't sing. Who do you think you are? You can't sing, right? Or then maybe one of our other saboteurs is in there going like, like the stickler, like the perfectionist, like, you can sing, but not that good. So don't raise your hand. So yeah, it beats the life out of us, these negative thoughts, and we just try and fit in, and we just lose ourselves. So I am a singer, though. I will raise my hand every day when you ask me who's a singer.
There we go. Yeah. So if you guys want to reclaim your inner child and your joy in life,
yes,
talk to Shannon. So, anyway, thank you very much for sharing what you do here. And
thank you, Greg.
and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Take care.
Take care.